Welcome to the WiseTake DFS podcast. I am CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined here by another one of my WiseTake regulars. You guys know him by now. It's Matt Amon. You can find him on Twitter at MattAmon123. How we doing tonight, Matt?
We're doing fine. The slate didn't go very well for me today. Unfortunately, I had too much of that Washington-Baltimore game, so I was assured that game's going to play, and then it didn't. So it was very sad. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that got caught, but between that and all my Derek Holland exposure, it was a pretty rough day. Even though I had a lot of the Coors game.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because we even I noticed the tweet you had sent out about with Holland and hey, hedge life, man. If you're playing X amount of lineups, man, you gotta hedge a little bit. I thought that was interesting. So just because Matt may have 50% of a certain pitcher, you better believe he's gonna have X amount of percent of a hedge against him in case the pitcher doesn't do well. That's just smart.
Well, especially when it's someone like Derek Holland. If it's someone that's good that I have faith in, then I'll just roll him out there. But when it's someone like him, if I'm going to have 50% of him, then you better believe I'm going to have 10 hedge stacks.
Right. Like if you're gonna go like Kershaw or Scherzer, then you're gonna go all in on that. Right. But if it's a guy like Holland or Phil Hughes, not that you would ever do that, then then obviously yeah. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
You ready to dive into the slate? We got a lot of games to get through here.
I'm ready. 15 games, and it looks a little gnarly, so I'm excited. Oh, there goes my mic. I'm excited to get into it.
Clearly, you are very excited.
Apparently. Oh, all right. We should be all right.
All right, we're good to go. We got Lance McCullers of the Houston Astros visiting Jordan Montgomery of the New York Yankees. What are we doing here?
Well, it's an interesting game. I mean, I love McCullers normally. I think he maybe has top 2 curveball in all of baseball. But I haven't liked picking on the Yankees a whole bunch. But pitching on the slate's not very great. So I think I could certainly consider using McCullers here just because he's the type of guy that his stuff is so good that even against a team that doesn't strike out very much, he could still strike them out a whole bunch. So I do think I have interest in McCullers. Montgomery, on the other hand, it worries me against this Houston team who's really good and hasn't been striking out very much this year. And then also his walk rate is really high, over 11%. So I don't think I have any interest in Montgomery. On the other side, I don't think any Yankees bats for me just because, like I said, I think McCullers is too talented. And then Montgomery, while he has had some walk issues, Houston's a little bit too much for me to have interest in them as a stack. And Montgomery hasn't been getting hit very hard. So he's been walking some people but not getting hit very hard, and Houston's a bit too expensive. So I don't think I have interest in any of the bats here in this game.
Yeah, I certainly. I mean, I can see your merit. I mean, Montgomery's been pretty good, and little we've seen him. However, we know that this Houston lineup isn't striking out as much as it did last year. So, and it's it's all righties. Now, granted, they always seemed like one of those teams that are, even though they're right-handed, they've always had a weird thing about hitting righties a little bit better. But still, when you got this many righties, it's gonna be tough in this small ballpark.
Right.
But at the same time, Jordan Montgomery has been pretty good. And then on the other side, while the Yankees were hot, you saw what Keuchel did to him. And so McCullers is a guy with an even higher strikeout percentage, at least over the last year or so. So, I think McCullers is interesting. The ballpark's obviously not too favorable for your pitchers, so it's not like, I don't think you're dying to go here on a massive slate, but I certainly see the upside. And I wouldn't be surprised to see McCullers' ownership a little tiny bit inflated, just because, not saying it's going to be chalk, but just more than he probably would be, just because of everybody watched what Keuchel did to the Yankees today. So, but yeah, at the same time, I think both pitchers are actually in play, and I'm not crazy about the bats either, man. I'm really not.
Yeah, another reason I like McCullers so much is not only is his strikeout rate close to 30%, but his hard contact rate so far this season is only 21%, which is really, really small. Yeah. So, I mean, his bugaboo also has been walks, But this season, he has it down to only 7%, which is way better from last year where he had it almost at 13%. So his control is much better. I think he's really coming into his own, and I think he's real close to kind of being a borderline elite type pitcher. So, yeah, like I said, even though the Yankees are pretty good, I think he has the kind of stuff that can still, have a really good performance.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I like McCullers for sure. And I think you just sold me a little bit more on there. There we go. All right, let's move on. We got Nick Pivetta of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting Tanner Roark of the Washington Nationals. Looks like we could have a little bit of weather issues here.
Yeah, this looks like the only game that could have problems, and it looks to be a lot of problems. So definitely keep your eye out here. But we'll break it down real quick anyways. I wouldn't have interest in either pitcher. Roark doesn't have a big enough strikeout rate for me at this price. And then Pivetta is a rookie, I'm pretty sure. He faced the Nationals last time out, and they beat him up pretty good. 4 runs, 3 home runs. So I would have a ton of interest in the Nationals if this game was to play. They'd be one of my favorite stacks on the day. They are really pricey, so that could be an issue. But if price wasn't a thing, then they would be one of my favorite stacks for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm with you here. I mean, if the game does play, the Nationals are certainly in a good spot. It's not the best ballpark, but it's their home ballpark, so you expect them to kind of show up. And you know what they're capable of against lefties, against righties. They got guys that can hit. They got one of the best lefties in the league, and Bryce Harper. Pivetta just doesn't seem very good. And, I don't even mind the Phillies. I mean, it's kind of a park downgrade. Obviously, it's a park downgrade for them, but it's a division game, and a lot of times you'll see these weaker teams try to get up to some of the top teams in the division just to kind of show that, I guess a little team pride. So, I don't hate the Phillies here. I'm not necessarily in love with them either, but we'll see if the game even plays, right?
Right.
Let's see. We got Christian Bergman of the Seattle Mariners against Joe Biagini of the Toronto Blue Jays. Those are 2 names you don't hear every day. Go ahead.
Well, I've literally never heard of Bergman before.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever heard of this guy?
No, I have not.
Okay. Iwakuma on the DL. They've now turned to Bergman. Blah, blah, blah. He was in AAA Tacoma. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about Bergman, but at least Toronto stinks bad enough to where I don't want to stack Toronto against, even if I was pitching. On the other side, Biagini was kind of everyone's darling in his last start against Tampa, and he was fine, but he's not good enough to roll out against Seattle, and he's not going to pitch deep, so you don't want to use him. Like I said, I don't have interest in Toronto just because they're too terrible to want to use against anybody. And then on the other side, I could see using Seattle, especially if Cano's back in the lineup. He sat out today. I don't know why. But I could have some interest in Seattle here, and especially if they're going to be really low owned, which I suspect they will. It's a good park for hitters, and Seattle has quite a bit of pop in their lineup. So I think I would have some interest in the Seattle bats here.
Oh yeah, man. I love Seattle, man. I think that they've been swinging the bats well. Obviously, you want to see Cano in there, like you said, but. Yeah, you saw that even without him today, like they didn't do great, but they were against a pretty good pitcher, Estrada, and Segura and Cruz had some big games. So, yeah, especially if Cano's in there, but even if he's not, I definitely have interest in Seattle, and I think you're right. I think people aren't going to want to go there. There's so many spots to go, and people, relied on this guy Joe, and they might even play him again in this spot. So I'm with you, man. And this, if you look at this game, I think Toronto's the obvious play against a Christian Bergman that we don't know. And then I think Seattle is kind of like the pivot, right? Like it's like, right. Well, I like this game, but maybe I'll stick on to the Seattle side because this guy Joe hasn't proved much to me either. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's funny because Seattle only has a 4.1 implied run total.
Right.
So I might jump on over to my local bookmaker after the show and place a little bet on Seattle going over that tomorrow.
There we go. Maximize the money.
That's right. That's right. So I can put more entries into DFS.
Yeah. Yeah, you support one habit with the other, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
All right, we got Alex Cobb of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Rick Porcello of Boston Red Sox. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I always say every time Porcello starts, I always say, well, I never play Porcello. He's too expensive, and he doesn't have the upside that I'm looking for, but that is not the case today. I have a lot of interest in Porcello. Every slate is different, and he's the top pitching option for me. At home against the team that strikes out the most in the league, in the Rays. I think he's probably a pretty big favorite. I haven't looked yet. Let's have a quick gander at the bookmaker here. Where are you at? -170. Yeah, so big favorite. On the other side, I like the Red Sox bats a lot. Alex Cobb's not striking anybody out. He doesn't look like the same pitcher he was before he had Tommy John surgery. He already pitched against Boston this year, and they hit him up in 5 innings, 11 hits, 4 runs at Fenway. So, yeah, I love Porcello, and I love the Red Sox.
Yeah, I think Cobb's been struggling. I definitely don't want anything to do with Cobb. I think he's been progressively getting better with each start. I think, like nothing significant, but he seems to be like getting there, and you expect him at some point. At one time, he was decent. So you expect at one point for him to settle down and not be one of the worst pitchers. But I'm not going there until he shows me he can do that. And on the other side of Porcello, you make a lot of it makes a lot of sense. Porcello, it doesn't have the highest K upside, but he does have K upside, and he's going against a team that strikes out the most in the league notoriously. So, or one of the most notoriously. So, I see it. I have a little bit of concerns with the Rays. They have some lefties now. They got Colby Rasmus, Logan Morrison's been hitting well. Brad Miller's not hitting the ball hard, but eventually I think he will. You saw last year he did at the bar. So I don't love Porcello as much as you do, but I certainly see the merit. Also on FanDuel, Porcello's 9.5, and I just can't pay 9.5 for Porcello. What's his price offer on DraftKings?
9.7.
But in a situation where you have to pick two pitchers.
Yeah, but we just look at it this way. On FanDuel, he's 9.5. Cueto's 9.7. On DraftKings, Porcello's 9.7. Cueto's 12.6.
Oh yeah, so he seems like a discount compared to some of those. Sure. So yeah, I see the point, but even Tampa Bay, even the implied run total is 4. So it makes me a little, because it's 50-50. Either he's gonna get 20 strikeouts or he's gonna get rocked, right? Like it's just like it's a tournament play. It's what he is. That's what he is, man, and it's a tournament play here,
Hey, I'm going to try to nail you down again at the end of the slate to make you pick two pitchers on DraftKings, because it's it's not that easy. Like I said, Cueto's 12.6, Kershaw's and Coors. Then you have Porcello. Then you have McCullers, like I just said, against a hot Yankees team. And then after that, it's real ugly. You know what I mean? It's Chris Tillman, it's Tanner Roark, it's Danny Duffy, it's Irvin Santana. I mean, you don't want to click any of these names.
Oh, you know what? I think I wouldn't mind taking a chance on Duffy. I really would. I mean, we'll get to that game. We'll get to that game, but I think that's interesting. Anyway, we got Irvin Santana of the Minnesota Twins visiting Josh Tomlin of the Cleveland Indians. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, it seems that Irvin was finally shown for what he really is in his last start against Boston. He'd been incredible in his previous however many starts, 5 starts this season, 6 starts, and then Boston crushed him last time out, but he's obviously a lot better than that, and he's somewhere in between his last start and what he'd been doing. But I don't want to use him in this spot. I don't like picking on Cleveland with pitchers, so I'm not going to do it here with Santana. Josh Tomlin on the other side, he's not very good, but so I'm not going to play him. I don't really think, though, I really am excited to play, stack up the bats on either side in this game. It's still going to be, let me pull up the weather. I saw that it looked like cold earlier. Yeah, 55 degrees with the wind blowing in 10 miles an hour. So, I don't want to use any of these pitchers just because I feel like their upside isn't there, for either of them. But I don't think I'm super excited to rush out and stack either side. I mean, if you wanted to go with Miguel Sano as a one-off, he's been on fire and he mashes the baseball and he can hit it out anywhere in any weather. But as far as, full game stacking, I don't think I have any interest in either of these teams.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on Santana. I remember doing a pod recently, and I was talking about how I think Santana is due to regress a little bit. He's having a phenomenal year, and I think he's a decent enough pitcher. It's not that I don't think he's elite, like his numbers had been showing, for part of this year, but against the Indians, I don't like it. One thing about Santana, he's dominant against right-handed pitching. He's got a nasty slider. He knows how to use it. But he gets hit a lot harder against lefties. He gets hit harder on the road, and he gets his WOBA in general is just so much higher against lefties. So, yeah, he's dominant against righties, but when you look at this Cleveland lineup, It's stacked. It's full of lefties and switch hitters, which are going to be lefties. So Santana, Lindor, he's got, assuming Brantley plays, he may not play.
Kipnis, Chisholm.
You know what, Kip? That's a great point with Kipnis. I think so. So maybe I'm on to you. I think you could stack it, but you could also, even if you don't want to, I think there's nothing wrong with doing a couple like a Chisenhall and Kipnis little stack, or you know what I'm saying. So, and I'm waiting for Kipnis, man. He's cheap, 2.8. We saw last year he got pretty hot at one point, and so I'm waiting for him.
He's a good ball player. He'll get there.
Yeah, he'll get there. So if you want to get on him while he's cheap, man, like in these tournaments, man, he might be the guy you want to go with. So, yeah, I'm with it. All right, we got here we go, Michael Fultonevich. There we go, Fultonevich. There we go. See, I talk to my name in enough, and I'll start to get it.
Yeah.
Of the Atlanta Braves, visiting Jose Urena of the Miami Marlins. Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, as long as you don't try to give me weather from this game, then we'll be with it.
I almost did, man. I was like, it's good. I was gonna say it's gonna be hot, and I was like, nope.
Yeah. Anyways, Fultonevich is a guy I went all in on his last start, and it was really, really bad, and I think I may be scarred for life. So I can't go back to Fultonevich in this spot. Urena doesn't have the K upside. These teams are like both right on the cusp of maybe making the cut tomorrow for my stacks. I don't know, like the Braves, Freeman and Inciarte have both been really hot, and Urena's not that good. But do they really have the other pieces to make me want to full stack it? Probably not. So I'll say, Freeman and Inciarte, I like both of them. And I guess Kemp would be fine to add if you're doing a mini stack. And then on the other side, the Marlins, Stanton's fine, Yelich is fine, Ozuna's fine, Real Muto's fine as a cheap play. Justin Bour is really cheap, so he's fine. So I guess I have more interest in the Marlins. And then just kind of those Braves 3 that I talked about.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, man. His numbers are strange. I'm looking at a couple of his numbers here, and like at one time last year, he seemed pretty decent, And you mentioned that, and you're right. I wrote him a little bit last year too. And I'm looking now, and I'm looking at his over the last a rolling 12 months, right? Is WOBA to lefties 341, is WOBA to righties 331. He's getting hit, and even his xWOBA, which is supposed to be a more true version, and it's typically a little lower usually, is 301. So he's getting hit. Now his hard contact rates aren't anything crazy, but it is above 30% to lefties. It's about it's not bad to righties, but long story short, I think I'm with you. And the guys that you named, I mean, Bour, Yelich, even Dietrich, if he leads off, which he's been doing against righties lately. So,
yeah, D. Gordon, they don't like him anymore.
Yeah, apparently he's in trouble.
Hey, if this guy's not on steroids anymore, then he's no good.
He's no good.
Yeah.
Of course, D. Gordon is obviously still in play. He can steal a base. So, right. He can steal a base or two. He gets on base a lot. So, even though he's bad at ninth, don't ignore him in tournaments. But yeah, I don't love Miami, but I like them a lot better than the Brave side. And I can't play Fultonevich. Like maybe I'll play him against the Rays if he's in that situation, but I can't play him against Miami. They don't strike out enough for me to feel comfortable with that. I think I'm with you.
Yep, I agree.
All right, we got Jesse Hahn of the Oakland Athletics visiting Andrew Cashner of the Texas Rangers. Matt, what's up with Cashner? Why is he not getting rocked every night?
I just feel like he's just getting super lucky. I mean, you dig into his stats real quick, and it's like 12% strikeout, 16% walk rate. It's like there's no way he can keep avoiding getting blown up if he's going to walk that many people. And then on top of that, you can see his BABIP is really low, so he's getting lucky there. 228 BABIP. He has 82% runners left on base. So he's just he's doing a decent job of keeping the hard contact down on 27%. But I think that's just luck. I think he's going to start getting crushed, and I think it is going to be here, maybe. Here, maybe. Can Oakland do it? And they're cheap, real cheap. So yeah, I do like the Oakland stack here, especially Yonder Alonso is still really cheap, and we know this guy's just mashing launch angle, #launch angle. But yeah, I like Oakland here, and then on the other side, Jesse Hahn. He's not very good either. So Yeah, his only good start was against my Angels, where he had 28 DraftKings points. But other than that, he hasn't been very good. Yeah, I like Texas here. They have a ton of lefties that can mash him. The only problem is they finally priced some of these guys up. It'd been nice getting Joey Gallo at such a cheap price for such a long time. Uh, but now he's priced up a bit, and the Rangers just let me down a bit today, but that has nothing to do with today's slate. It's a new day, and I'm going to be playing Texas again here. So I like all the bats in this game.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm loving these. And I don't think Han is 7-2 on FanDuel, and I get that he's had, we talked a little bit before the show, and you had mentioned to me that he's been getting a couple. I mean, you never said you liked him. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying you mentioned that he's been getting a couple strikeouts more than expected. And I think you're right. Texas's biggest weakness has been the strikeout, but Han, I'm not sold that he's a strikeout kind of guy. So I love the Texas bats, and you're right, man. Like, I hate to admit it, but I like the A's, specifically two of them. Chris Davis on FanDuel. Chris Davis is 3.2. Hey, listen, the longer he goes without a home run, the higher his chances become for a double dong, man. That's what he does. So,
He
so
swings hard. He either misses or hits it real far.
that's it. That's it. He can get you two or three of them. So I love Chris Davis in the spot against a righty. He's got very strong numbers against righties. Don't sleep on him. And Yonder Alonso, you kind of have to ride this. This is like the new Ryan Zimmerman. It's weird.
Yeah.
We saw Thames, we saw Zimmerman. Now it's Yonder. It's like what first? Like Carpenter even went red hot. Like these first basemen, man, or at least positional first basemen on the sites. What the hell? That is just like it's crazy, man.
Yeah, they've gone bananas.
It's like a first baseman launch angle seminar or something, man. It's like, but yeah. Anyway, I'm with you. Bats on both sides. Joel. I can never say it. Jules Chacin of the San Diego. I'm the worst host ever when it comes to pronouncing names, dude. Of the San Diego Padres.
Pronounce these names.
Yeah, there you go. Reminds me of that Key and Peele episode,
There you go.
Anyway, of the San Diego Padres visiting Miguel Gonzalez of the Chicago White Sox. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, Miguel Gonzalez is in an interesting spot against, the Padres who strike out a ton, but I don't think the strikeouts are there for me to have interest in him. I want to have interest in him. I just don't know if I can quite get there. Maybe I can, get at me tomorrow with the pitching being so weak on the slate. But yeah, that's my take on Gonzalez. You can't play Chacin. He's just not good. So you can't play him. On the other side, I would like the White Sox because, like I said, Chacin is bad, but I like to attack him with lefties, and the White Sox just don't have any. So that makes it tough. It's all righties. It is going to be cold in Chicago, so I don't really think I have any interest in the Chicago stack. And then, I said Gonzalez might not have the K upside, but he's also been pitching pretty well this year, and he's a extreme ground ball pitcher. So I don't think Padres for me either. Will Myers is really cheap on DraftKings, 4,200, and then Schimpf's only 3,900. Solarte 3,500, all real cheap. So if you wanted a couple one-offs there, I wouldn't mind those type of guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're right. Miguel, we know has he's not as bad as like sometimes he gets rocked so bad you think he's terrible, but he's not as bad as some of these other guys. So he's not by any means good. I don't play him a lot. I think on DraftKings you may have had to play him a couple times because he's good enough. So, we're not going here for pitchers. The total is fairly high here, and the Padres get a park upgrade against a righty. They have Schimpf, they got Solarte, they got Spandenberg, they got a couple guys. Will Myers can hit righties pretty well, so I like the bats in this game. I especially the Padres. I always like the Padres. They're kind of my sneaky little team that I look for them in good spots because they're so bad. As far as the White Sox though, I hate these guys, and like I can never. I just look at them and none of them are attractive to play. Because like even Jose Abreu, even Todd Frazier, these are all guys that they're just not attractive to play. And Chacin is terrible. You want these guys. This park is actually pretty good for hitters, but it's just hard to pull the trigger. So I don't know, man. I mean, they've been putting up runs. Like I think they're okay. I just never like playing them. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if Chacin was a lefty, I'd be running to the White Sox. I would be all for them. But against the righty, they're just not quite there.
Right.
I mean, when we know guys like Avisail Garcia and Todd Frazier and Tim Anderson and some of these other Matt Davidson, they all crush lefties. But against righties, they're just not quite there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. All right, we got Matt Harvey of my New York Mets back from his suspension. When he got suspended, I thought it was for a different kind of dong watch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But
he was in my wife's closet again.
But yeah, apparently, I guess it was supposedly he didn't show up to something. I didn't even bother to hear. I was just frustrated with those as a Met fan. But Matt Harvey, formerly known as Dark Knight of the New York Mets, visiting Matt Garza of the Milwaukee Brewers. Go ahead, Matt. What are we doing?
Well, we found our bats.
Yeah, right.
Both these pitchers are terrible. If this was 2009, maybe we could have interest in them, but not in 2017. I think Matt Harvey's completely done. I watch him and he just looks just completely mentally just toasted out there.
His spin rate has got to be terrible.
Oh, his spin rate is terrible. People are launching into this guy. Eric Thames is probably going to launch one off him tomorrow. So that might be my first pick in Dong Watch.
Oh, and wow. Thames, this is like a dream spot for Thames.
Yeah. And then we know that the Mets crush righties and Garza stinks. So, yeah, all the bats in this game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Has Garza been playing a little better recently? Like, I don't have the game log in front of me, but I feel like this year because I feel like I've targeted against him a couple times this year and it hasn't worked out.
2.55 ERA.
Okay, so I'm not sure I quite.
We got to look into this a little deeper because he's getting lucky.
Yeah. It makes me wonder.
I don't care what the stats say. He's not good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I spent years stacking against this guy, and it always works.
He still has 42.6% hard contact against so far this season.
Okay. So with hard contact is up, then we know it's luck. If he's getting hit hard, he's just getting.
He isn't walking anybody. Only 4% walks, but.
Okay. Well, the Mets are a home run or nothing kind of team, so it's like it makes you.
No, we don't want our fantasy guys to walk anyways. Yeah. Hit it over the fence or forget it. We don't want our 2 points.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, man. I love the bats in this game for sure. On both sides, 100%.
Yes.
All right, we got Dylan Bundy. Okay, yeah, he was supposed to pitch today, but right now. Dylan Bundy of the Baltimore Orioles against Danny Duffy of the Kansas City Royals. Go ahead, man.
Oh, does it say Dylan Bundy on yours? It still says Chris Tillman on mine.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm seeing Bundy. So you know what? We'll just go over the scenario that it was both.
Well, it changes a lot because I don't really have interest in Chris Tillman, even though he's a decent pitcher. I just don't think he's extended enough to want to have the upside to use him here. But if Bundy is in and his price is the same as it was today, it's $7,500 on DraftKings. I don't know what it will be, but I would have a lot of interest in Bundy just because he's extended out, and then Kansas City's just terrible. They're maybe the worst offense in all of baseball. So if it was Bundy, I would have interest. I would have less interest in Tillman just because I don't feel like he's going to go 100 pitches that we need him to go. And then on the other side, Duffy, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's just been complete garbage this year. He's not striking anybody out. I mean, 2, 3, 2, 5 in his last several starts. So I'm going to make Bundy prove it to me before I'm going to go there. On the other side, Baltimore is really cheap for Baltimore. So I do think I have interest in a Baltimore stack here. And not only has Duffy not been very good, but I think Kansas City's bullpen is garbage too. And it's nowhere near as good as it was when people used to think it was good a couple years ago. So yeah, Baltimore at these prices on DraftKings, I do have a decent amount of interest in, and no one's going to play them in this ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting here because I think that, I don't like Duffy as much. I just looked at a couple stats that were a little alarming. So I don't like him as much as I mentioned earlier, which now you put me in a position because now I got to consider, the pitching spot you put me in for DraftKings. Right. Now I have to consider because the guy that I was eyeing was Duffy, and I saw some alarming stats. I'm still interested because the Baltimore's WOBA against lefties has been horrible. So I am still interested in Duffy in this park. However, it's alarming to me how hard his hard contact rate is extremely high. And that's alarming, especially for a team like Baltimore. You see, this is a very high total considering we've got a couple decent pitchers, or at least, Duffy at one time was considered a good pitcher. So I think it's interesting that the total is so high in the game in this ballpark. One of, it's probably the best pitchers ballpark, maybe behind the Giants, maybe. But it's up there. It's just a big-time pitchers park. So I think it's interesting that the totals are high. And so that makes me like Duffy a little bit less. So I'll say this. I think Duffy's still an interesting tournament play because he does present upside. He can strike people out. Maybe he hasn't been, but he can. And if there's a team that strikes out against the lefties, it's Baltimore. So I think it can go both ways. I think it's a head situation. I think you play maybe a little bit of Duffy and you play a little bit of Baltimore, or pick a side. Maybe if you like I'm sure, like for instance, Matt, if you decide to stack Baltimore, you're probably going to have a couple stacks or a couple lineups with Duffy in there, right?
Sure, of course.
So I think this is a situation kind of like what you with Holland today, where it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to do that.
Yep, absolutely it does. Hedge life, baby, all the way.
Life. Hashtag hedge life.
That's right.
All right, we got Eddie Butler of the Chicago Cubs visiting Mike Leake of the St. Louis Cardinals. Go ahead, Matt.
Eddie Butler is back in our lives. Boy, the Cubs must be really desperate. And I actually, for all the Cubs fans out there, the Cubs might be in trouble this year. Arrieta doesn't look the same. Hendricks doesn't look the same. They got Eddie Butler starting out of nowhere. Their bullpen looks shaky without Chapman. So anyways, I mean, this has nothing to do with tomorrow, but lucky for them, their division stinks, and they're still going to win the division. So if they can get it figured out by October, they'll be fine. But anyways, on to today. I think I could have some interest in Mike Leake just because his price is reasonable. He's been pretty good this year. The Cubs do strike out some. I'm not in love with it, but I think I could have some interest in Leake. And obviously not Eddie Butler. I could have some interest in the Cardinals bats here for sure. Just like I said, Eddie Butler's real bad at baseball. I have to kind of go through the numbers to see just how bad he is. It's been a while. But, Matt Carpenter, Jed Jerko, Crushes, Almas Diaz, Colton Wong. And the Cardinals, I think, have been hitting much better than they were earlier in the year. They've kind of come on of late. So, yeah, I have Cardinals interest. And then, Leake, I said I have interest, but he's not, incredible. So you could go to some of these Cubs bats, but I don't think it's going to be one of my top stacks.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's yeah, I think the Cardinals seem to be in the better spot now. I'm not sold on League. I'm with you. I think that he's decent enough that you could consider him, and the Cubs do strike out. But League does struggle against lefties typically, and the Cubs have some pretty good lefties, and they've been struggling a little bit. So guys like Rizzo, Schwarber, man, for most of the season on FanDuel, he was in the high 3s, low 4s. He's down to 3.2. That's how bad he's been. So I think he's in play. Zobrist, man, he's not really been himself. And so I think the bats are definitely in play here. It seems like we got a lot of bad options, man. I mean, I know we had mentioned that the pitching was rough, at least for the different tiers. But yeah, sometimes you have there's not a lot of pitching options, but you don't like all the bats either. This is a situation where I like a lot of these bats, man. Like I love the Cardinals, I like the Cubs. It's like there's a lot of situations. I don't know how you're gonna make up your mind, but when you pick them stacks tomorrow, man.
I think as of right now, I have it narrowed down to 9. So yeah.
Narrowed down to 9.
Narrowed it down from 30 to 9. So we're making progress.
Clayton Kershaw of the Los Angeles Dodgers visiting Tyler Chatwood of the Colorado Rockies.
Well, we normally love Kershaw, but I don't recommend playing him tomorrow. He's too much money to play in Coors. He already pitched in Coors this year. Let's see how he did. 12.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 DraftKings points. I think he did good enough to where we're not gonna stack up the Rockies like crazy, but we're not paying 11-3 for Kershaw on DraftKings. We're not doing that. So don't play Kershaw. Chatwood on the other side, I can't use him. The Dodgers are just too good against righties. So, yeah, no Chatwood. I do like the Dodgers, though, a lot. Like I said, they crush righties. Seager, Turner, Jock Peterson, Bellinger's looks to be the second coming. So, yeah, I like the Dodgers a lot.
Dude, I love your Dodgers. As a stack, I do. And, it's not like, I like a lot of stacks, so I'm not going to go all out on Coors, but, I'm certainly going to have exposure to some Dodger players. Just be like, Bellinger's been red hot, and he's only 4K on FanDuel. It's like that's where he should be anyway, based off how he's been playing. So it's like he's not even playing for Coors. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love Seager's 4.3. I love these guys. Even Turner at 4.2. They've been red hot. They're going to Coors now. I know there's been a lot of talk with Coors about how when teams first get there, it takes them a day to adjust.
Gosh.
I still, regardless, then if I lose that way, I lose that way because I like the Dodgers. And I'm gonna be honest on FanDuel. If I were to tell you on FanDuel when you get one pitcher, and based off some of the pitchers we talked about already, right? If I told you Kershaw against the Rockies 9-8, would you play him?
No.
No?
Nope. Can't do it. I would rather go to Porcello or McCullers tomorrow.
But see, now for me, it's closer with McCullers. I told you how I feel about Porcello. I think he's okay, but like I kind of like the Rays a little bit. So I'm McCullers though. I'm obviously he's probably my second as of right now. He's probably my top option. But Kershaw, I think I might bump him up there, man. And here's my logic, right? We saw him go there. He didn't do that great. He hasn't been all that great. When are you gonna get an opportunity to play Kershaw under 10K? This I feel like, and the Rockies do strike out a ton. Now the Rockies Vegas run total right now is 3.8 at a Coors game, 3.8.
Right.
So I'm gonna trust Vegas a little bit here, and only because listen, if we had a ton of options and great spots, I'd go for it. But we kind of have mediocrity. We have pretty good pitchers in okay spots, and then we have okay pitchers in really good spots. So it's like. I think I'm willing to roll the dice here, man. Like I think I would play Kershaw Coors just because of the fact that you can get Kershaw, one, low owned because people might be hesitant to play him there, and two, at a cheaper price on FanDuel. On DraftKings 11 something, I don't think I would go there either. To be honest with you.
Right. Can I take Porcello so we can go double or nothing on our $5 I lost?
I forgot all about that. Okay, yeah. Kershaw or Porcello?
Yeah, I'll take Porcello.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like I'm getting like a super good deal here. I think I should give you like.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's only $5.
I'm with you, but it could be 10, man. It could be 10 for you. I'm just kidding.
Oh no. That'll be Oh man, I can't do 50 stacks tomorrow. It's fine.
Do like 49 or something.
Yeah.
All right, we got Tyler Glasnow of the Pittsburgh Pirates against Patrick Corbin of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks are my favorite stack of the day at this moment. Glasnow has a humongous walk problem, and Arizona's great at home. It's a great ballpark. I love Arizona. Corbin is. I don't think he's interesting. At 8,100, he just feels like a little bit too much against a Pirates team that doesn't really strike out very much and is predominantly right-handed. So I don't think I like Corbin, but the Pirates aren't quite good enough to make my list of bats that I want. I mean, if you want to go with a Josh Harrison one-off or Cervelli or whatever, that's fine. But yeah.
And see, again, man, I think I'm on the other side. I like the Diamondbacks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't like the Diamondbacks, but I like the Pirates a lot too, man. I think that I think Corbin stinks, and I mean Greinke just embarrassed these guys. And I'm with you. The Pirates they're not anything. They're like a shell of themselves that they were. But I mean, they still got McCutchen and Chase Field and 92-degree weather roughly. We still got Cervelli. Like these aren't intimidating names, Josh Harrison, but these are guys that can get it done. And so I think like going from Greinke to Corbin is going to be like, you know what I'm saying? It's like running to walking, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I have a lot of interest in the Pirates here, man. I know that, but you know what? You make a great point. It's hard to pick the ones you like because there's not very many players you actually like, right? Like, do you love playing Jordy Mercer?
Harrison, McCutchen, and Cervelli, and like you said, Jordy Mercer.
Yeah, but like, do you want to play Cervelli and Mercer?
Ownership in a great ballpark.
Yeah. So I think that this whole game there's value, but even from a perspective of lefty righty, if you want to look into the splits, you got a lefty going up against all righties, and then you have a righty going up against maybe two lefties. Granted, they're very good lefties, and the righties are very good too. But so I think now I will say this. Eventually, I think Glasnow is going to turn it around. Maybe not this year. I don't think it's going to happen now. But eventually, he's got some good strikeout stuff. If he can figure out that whole control thing, he could be decent, especially in Pittsburgh. But anyway, that has nothing to do with tomorrow because I definitely don't want to try him out here. So
you don't want to put 5 on your Pirates tomorrow?
What, Pirates winning the game?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we could do that. All right.
So we got 2 bets on it.
Dude, people are gonna think we have a problem.
We do have a problem. We're on a DFS podcast. This is what we do all day. I sit around and make 300 teams every day. I have a problem. I need Gamblers Anonymous.
Oh my gosh. I'm still in denial, I think, bro. I don't want to. I'm not ready to admit it.
Just admit it. Just embrace it.
Oh my God. All right, we got Jordan Zimmerman of the Detroit Tigers visiting Matt Shoemaker of Matt's Los Angeles Angels.
Of Anaheim.
There it is. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I think I'd be taking it a little bit too far if I recommended Zimmerman. I get made fun of, for being too much of an opposite homer, but Zimmerman's just terrible. And, I can't stack the Angels just because they stink, but I'll have a lot of Mike Trout tomorrow, and I am going to the game tomorrow night with my little guy. So I think I'm going to have a lot of Mike Trout and a lot of Matt Shoemaker. He hasn't been great yet this year, but I feel like he's ready to turn it around. Now, but I mean, honestly, I don't know. His walk rate is really high. He gives up a lot of home runs, so I don't know. I probably won't do it, but I want to do it because I'm going to the game. But I probably won't. I'll probably just stack up the Tigers a bunch and just be miserable sitting at the game.
You know what, man? I think of all the people, I'm thinking of price now. Now you mentioned how much is he on DraftKings first?
5,300.
Oh,
Trout?
Dude. No. I'm talking about Shoemaker.
Oh, Shoemaker's 7,900.
Oh, okay. On FanDuel, he's 75. If he was 75 on DraftKings, he might be my favorite SP2.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I said I think he's totally fine. I'm gonna play him because he hasn't been good, but I know it's in there. I know he can be good, right. And I've watched him for stretches where he looked okay and the sinker was sinking, and he did it against Houston this year. He had it for a while against Oakland. He was decent against Kansas City. I know it's in there, and the Tigers are very right-handed, and it's a great ballpark, and the Marine layer is going to be in there. So there's some reasons to like Shoemaker.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some of the tougher second options, and I always give you a hard time because I play primarily on FanDuel. So once I find my 2 or 3 number ones, I'm just like, I don't need anybody else. And meanwhile, right. Matt's looking for scraps to find that cheap dude to get him some bats.
That's right.
But yeah, man, I think Shoemaker is a guy that I wouldn't mind going to on DraftKings. Now, even on FanDuel, in a tournament only, obviously, I wouldn't mind. I don't think too many people are going to go there. And he's cheap enough to where you can play any bat you. I can get all the Dodgers, I can get all the Seattle, I can get all the Pittsburgh, Arizona, whatever I want. And the Tigers, man, they and you're the one who've mentioned this, man. It's they have not been very good this year. Like you're the one that brought that to my attention that they've really been bad. You know what I mean? And was it the Tigers that I won the bet on against Arizona? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was.
So they came through. They came through for me that one time, but that was more of a play against their pitcher than it was on I don't have no faith in the Tigers for real, offensively. So now you take them from Chase Field, you put them in Los Angeles. They played tonight, obviously. You mentioned the Marine layer, man. That's your team, that's your town. Yeah, I like the Angels bats, and I don't want any Tigers. Bottom line. I like the whole Angels side, even the pitcher. I don't like the Tigers at all here. One more game. That's it. We got Scott Feldman of the Cincinnati Reds visiting Johnny Cueto of the San Francisco Giants. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I like Johnny Cueto in this spot, but he's just so much. I mean, 12-6 against a Reds team that's pretty decent, that doesn't strike out very much. It just feels too expensive for me. So at first glance, I don't really want Cueto. Feldman, though, at 7,800 is way more interesting because he's 5,000 cheaper, and he's been somehow, some way decent this year. He put up a huge complete game shutout against the Giants last time in Cincinnati. So I do have interest in Feldman. The Giants are just awful at hitting the baseball this year. I want to look real quick. I know they were down. Yeah, they're 29th out of 30, only better than Kansas City in runs scored this year. And we know, of course, San Francisco is the nut ballpark for pitchers. So I do have interest in Feldman. I worry that the K upside is not there, but we just saw him go complete game shutout in his last start. So we know that the upside is in there, even if you don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man. And I refuse to believe it, but it has been there. So, what you're going to do. You make a great point. This is a great park. Both teams are projected to have very little runs. You got Johnny Cueto and I always joke around with baseball. Revenge. In basketball, I think it's a thing. And even in football, I think it could be a thing. But in baseball, not so much. But the one position where it can be a thing is the pitcher, because he's got the ball in his hand every time. So it's like, if you want to play the revenge route and just hope that Cueto's going to come out there and rock. It's a great ballpark for him. He's at home in front of his new fans. He's playing his whole team, and I don't mind Cueto but if you're going to do that, obviously you have to look for a cheaper option on DraftKings. But on FanDuel at 9.7, I don't mind him. He's right under Kershaw, so that's that's interesting to me actually, because if Kershaw's only 100 more, but he's in Coors on FanDuel, do you think people are going to go with Kershaw? Or they're going to go probably with Cueto, right? I would think.
I mean, I would go with Cueto, but I think you'll get it pretty split.
Yeah, pretty split.
Because people are just like, oh, Kershaw, and they're just going to go with Kershaw.
Yeah, and if they're not going up there, then they're going in the mid tier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's right. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not crazy about the bats. I mean, the Vegas I trust Vegas, and there's some pretty low run totals here. And I think there's so many great games. Why would you want to go here and just
No bats in San Francisco ever, unless it's a late slate and there's 3 games, and then. Even tonight I was like, oh, late slate, Bronson Arroyo versus this block guy who stinks. I was like, I'm just going to load up on this game, and they didn't do anything. 3-2. You know what I mean? It's the worst park, man. I mean, I'm just saying, I already said this on the pod before, but I mean, Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs in that ballpark. It's just mind-boggling.
And you know what? He needed this to do it. It's just like, can you blame the guy?
It's only fair to put him in that park.
Yeah, it's only fair. It's like equal now. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I think they should just let them all juice.
Yeah, right.
You know
More
what I mean?
dongs to go around for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm with it. All right, so that's it for the games, man. That's all the game by game stuff, man. Is there any So what do you? So I know you like Porcello.
Porcello and McCullers. Are kind of my 2 favorite pitchers. And then on the stack side, I said Arizona was my absolute favorite. I like the Brewers and the Mets. I like the Dodgers, who will be super chalky. And then, the Red Sox and the Orioles maybe as kind of sneakies.
There's so many ways to go. And at least, like I would assume that the Dodgers, I don't even, now, the Rockies are going to, this is a chance to get the Rockies at a low ownership. Because even though people may not play Kershaw on Coors, they're certainly not going to, go against him. So from that perspective, it's interesting. I still like Kershaw, but I also like Cueto, and I like Shoemaker a little bit. And it's tough, man. I'm not sold on really anybody, so it's going to be tough for me building a cash game lineup tomorrow. But in tournaments, it should be fun, man. Tournaments, you could mix it up. There's a bunch of bats to go to. It should be a fun tournament slate. It's going to be a tough cash game slate.
I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You ready to play Dong Watch?
I'm ready.
Uh-oh. So many guys, and I'm gonna forget all of them. I don't know who to pick. Boy. All right, go ahead, Matt.
All right, Mike Trout.
Oh, okay. All right, I wasn't expecting that. Though I can actually get one of the guys I was thinking. I wasn't even thinking about Trout, man. I never think about him because of that park, and that's a mistake.
No one ever thinks about him because the Angels stink.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And he's nothing. I'm not trying to take anything away. He's phenomenal. He is good at baseball. I'm gonna go with Thames here.
Oh, you're gonna block me?
Did you give a big homer?
I like all the juicers. Barry Bonds was my favorite player as a kid.
Oh, I get one more. I always forget that. I'll go with Jay Bruce. I'm gonna stay in that game, one on each side.
All right. I just saw somebody I liked, and now he's gone. Jake Lamb. Said I love Arizona. Oh, I'm again, huh?
Yeah, with 2 people.
I'll just go with Goldie. The people's first baseman is what their announcer always says.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he says America's first baseman. America's first baseman.
America.
Yeah.
This is with these new colors. We look pretty American right now. Huh? Red, white, and blue.
You gotta represent.
Represent. I'm gonna go Yonder. I'm gonna go with Yonder Alonso, man. Launch angle. Hashtag launch angle.
Hashtag launch angle.
I'm with it, man. I'm a believer, and like I laugh and I joke, but there's some serious validity to those stats, man. I mean, Matt, you're a golf coach, so golf has been over the whole the launch angle stuff, and the whole
Yep.
spin rates and all that stuff. I believe in it. I don't necessarily understand it all the way, but I'm gonna learn because I think it's a thing, man. I think you see all these hitters who are mediocre their whole careers, and all of a sudden they're mashing the ball. There's got to be something to it, and you're seeing pitchers who were really nothing, and all of a sudden they're striking guys out. So I think there's something to it, man.
Launch it high and spin it low.
That's
That's
it.
what we're going for.
That's it all day. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for the WiseTake DFS podcast. It is Friday, so we're gonna be off for a couple days. So enjoy your weekend. Matt, enjoy your weekend, and hopefully you're gonna enjoy his.
I will.
Absolutely. So listen, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up. That like button means a lot to us. It really helps us grow. Also, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we're trying to build us a little decent little following here, and so far so good. So follow us on Podbean if you're listening on the audio version. Also, we're on iTunes on the audio version. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us some positive reviews. Help bump us up those iTunes rankings over there. So leave us some feedback. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So for Matt, for myself, as always, good luck.
Peace.